to day 5 of Michael Keaton Month, where I'll be reviewing all the movies that Michael Keaton has appeared in thus far. And today we're going to be talking about 2 movies. It's another double bill, but this will be the first true double bill because this is 2 movies that Michael Keaton has a starring role in that released in the same year, 1986. So, you know, Keaton has appeared in a few kind of, I guess, flagpole movies for himself. You know, Mr. Mom, Johnny Dangerously, where he literally is the titular character. And he would go on to star in 2 other comedies in 1986. Only one is more of a kind of, well, no, actually I'd say they're both kind of more dramatic than all-out comedy, such as Johnny Dangerously or Mr. Mom. The first one I'm going to talk about is Gung Ho. This is a Ron Howard film, and it was released on 14th of March 1986. The tagline for this movie is "When East meets West, the laughs shift into high gear." This actually reunited Michael Keaton, Ron Howard, and the writers of Night Shift, who'd worked together 4 years earlier on, I just said it, Night Shift. This movie is about Michael Keaton, who is an American liaison between a Japanese company who has bought a factory, or going to run a factory in America to produce cars, because you know, Michael Keaton needs to go over to Japan and convince these Japanese businessmen to come over, take over this factory, and basically give all the people in this small town that he's from jobs, work, a way of life, basically, because this factory was so instrumental to this town's kind of lifeline. And so he really needs to get someone to pick that car factory back up. So there's Japanese people that come and they take it back up. And the big boss man, he doesn't fly over, he stays in Japan, but his nephew is there, and the guy who's kind of leading the charge for the Japanese guys is played by a guy called Gedde Watanabe. I don't want to mispronounce that, but that's how it's written. And he's kind of the second lead of the film, and he's the Japanese kind of boss. And he's quite young, and Michael Keaton has a run-in with him earlier on in the film in Japan, where he's at this kind of this training for kind of bad executives and stuff, and so he's kind of had a bit of a tough ride, but he's trying to, you know, do the best he can in this new American kind of environment. Michael Keaton's character, you know, he's basically his job is to kind of get the American workers to kind of, you know, comply with the Japanese way of working, and that's what the whole movie is about, really. And Michael Keaton's character is called Hunt Stevenson. He has a girlfriend in the film called Audrey, played by Mimi Rogers, one of her first major film roles, I believe. George Wendt is also in this, is one of the workers, and also John Turturro. So yeah, there's quite a good cast in this movie. Again, directed by Ron Howard, so it's really good for that. I think anytime I see that a movie's been directed by Ron Howard, I know it's probably going to be pretty decent. And this is no different. But it was kind of funny. You know, Keaton definitely had that kind of Keaton wit about him in this movie, but there was a bit of drama to it as well. Maybe it gets a bit icky at times, you know, maybe it gets a bit too, like, the message a bit too broad, perhaps, but I really enjoyed it. I really like the guy who played, I don't know how to pronounce his name in the film, and I never even heard it in the film, to be honest with you, but that didn't really matter. But Gedde Watanabe, he was great in the film. I really liked him. He's an interesting character. He played him well. There was a restraint there, and then it lets loose later on. And him and Keaton kind of team up, I guess, very slowly, and kind of get to understand each other, and they fall out and things. And Keaton's really trying to just rally these American workers around to say, come on, let's just work hard like the Japanese do. And the Japanese, their mindset is, you know, when you work for a company, you're loyal to the company. You're not loyal to yourself. You work overtime, not for money, but for the company. This kind of thing. Whereas Americans, you know, as Gedde says in the movie, you know, they arrive late, they leave early, you know, and so basically there's a bet that's kind of thrown down because all the workers want more money, you know. And the Japanese say, well, you know, in 1 month in Japan, we built 15,000 cars. So Michael Keaton's like, fine, we'll beat that. We'll make 15,000 cars in a month. And if we do that, then you give us all a raise and that kind of thing. So he goes back to the union, and Keaton tells everyone, yeah, 15,000 cars, and they'll give us a raise. And they're like, 15,000? Are you crazy? And he's like, well, you know, and they're like, what if we get like just under? Do we still get something? 13,000? And Keaton's like, he's put in a tough spot, and he's like, yeah, 13,000, we'll get half a raise. And then he's basically thrown himself completely into it. The Americans are set on only making 13,000, so it's a real tension. There's real tension in the movie. I kind of was really kind of getting gripped by it, basically, and I was really interested to see what the outcome would be, especially when the big boss flies over and stuff. And I really enjoyed this movie. It was a lot of fun. There was a nice bit of drama, not too much, you know. Not it wasn't perfectly balanced. Actually, I felt actually, but I really enjoyed Gung Ho. I was really surprised, and yeah, I just enjoyed it a lot. Really good movie. We'll definitely be revisiting it in years to come. I'll just give you a few pieces of trivia about this movie. A number of the actors from this movie, including Gedde Watanabe, they went on to star in the short-lived Gung Ho television series in the same year. It didn't last very long. This is Ron Howard's first film shot in scope. That's 235-1. If that's of any interest to people. As of 2012, this movie is the only film Ron Howard has directed for Paramount Pictures. Gedde Watanabe also appears in the TV series, as I said, but he plays a different character, not the one that he played in the movie. Apparently the picture storyline was drawn from real life. That's another thing. I kind of feel like a bit of it was kind of unrealistic, just the, you know, making 15,000 cars in a month, but I have no idea how it works, you know, but from what we saw in the movie, you know, I don't know, it kind of niggled at the back of my mind a little bit, but it didn't ruin the enjoyment overall. Yeah, and then again, as I said, reunites the writers, the director Ron Howard and Michael Keaton from Night Shift. So Gung Ho, really good movie, enjoy it a lot, and would highly recommend you go and check it out. Now the next movie is Touch and Go, which was also released in 1986. As I said at the beginning of the video, it was released on the 22nd of August 1986. This was a much more lower key movie. Of course, there wasn't any kind of huge director behind it. It was directed by Robert Mandel. Michael Keaton stars as Bobby Barbato, who was a hockey player, famous hockey player, bit of a womanizer, you know, and famous and kind of just a, you know, kind of a man about town, I guess you could say. And at the beginning of the movie, he gets mugged by a little kid called Lewis. He's played by Ajay, Naidu, who would go on to star in Office Space and some other movies. In fact, he's working quite a lot, not in very big projects, but he definitely was a child actor who went on to just star in loads more things and really kept his career going. And Maria Conchita Alonso, I don't know if I pronounced that right, she plays Denise in the movie, and she's a single mother who has Lewis, and Lewis basically tries to mug Michael Keaton at the beginning of the movie with a group of older kind of gang members. So Keaton kind of grabs the kid, takes him back to his home where he meets his mother, and they kind of, she wants a relationship with him. She liked Bobby, Denise, so she's kind of like, you know, I want to pay back for, you know, you helping my son and taking him out to get something to eat while I was out. And Bobby's like, no, this is fine, you know, but she basically, but you know, nags him into it. So they go out for a date and for dinner, and they end up sleeping together. And she kind of goes out and buys some groceries in the morning. She turns up and he's there, and he's like, I don't really want anything. I don't want anything long term here. And she gets offended. It's the way he works, and we see this earlier on in the film. He sleeps with women, and that's it. You know, he's very much a one-night stand guy. He's all about the hockey training, just basically, you know, basically living off vitamins, you know, that kind of thing. And so Lewis keeps coming back into his life, and by process of that, Denise does, and then he kind of questions, you know, his life. You know, without hockey, what is he? You know, what does he have in his life outside of hockey? What's he going to do when it's all over? And he begins to realize that he really has nothing in his life apart from hockey, and maybe he should be looking, you know, more closer to Denise's kind of affection to him, I guess, and Lewis as well. Now, Lewis in the movie, this little kid, he is such a little prick. I mean, I don't know if he was like that in real life, but he was a great actor if he wasn't, because he just such a wise ass, you know, such a little dick, just running around, and just he's just crazy in this movie. And I really enjoyed him actually, and his relationship with Bobby in the film, really good. Is the movie great? No, but I really liked it. And as a matter of fact, Roger Ebert gave this movie 3.5 stars out of 4. It was pretty much panned, but he really enjoyed the movie and thought the chemistry between Keaton and Alonso was great, and I really liked it too. I really enjoyed it. There's a great scene when they have their first date that's quite interesting. There's another great scene where Keaton's in this airport and he's just kind of musing to himself. You know, one of his co-players is there, and he's just kind of, you know, thinking, or you know, thinking out loud. You know, what does he have outside of hockey? Great little scene. And one of the gang members who was kind of using Lewis at the beginning of the movie to mug him was he gets involved in the fray, and he kind of gets quite sinister. Actually, it takes quite a dark turn, you know. But yeah, that wasn't kind of, didn't feel too right within the tone of the movie for me. But you know, Overall, I really enjoyed Touch and Go, and it's quite an obscure one. Again, you know, I could only watch it in 4:3. I don't know if it was filmed in widescreen, but you know, I really enjoyed Touch and Go, and there's really no trivia to speak of because again, it's such an obscure one. There's not much to really tell you more than the plot and what I thought of it. I really enjoyed it. It was a good year for Keaton in 1986. I've seen a recent interview with him where he says that, you know, he made some terrible decisions with movies, and this was an interview in the mid-90s, and I've pretty much at this point seen all the movies he made up until then, and I can't find a bad one. Well, there's one maybe, you know, and maybe even these two, I don't know. Well, not Gung Ho. I think Gung Ho is a far superior film to Touch and Go, but I don't know, Touch and Go just appealed to me. I enjoyed it, you know. It was just a nice film, and there's some funny moments, and you know, a nice balance of drama there, and I enjoyed it a lot anyway. So thank you for watching. Make sure to join me tomorrow for an even more obscure film, in fact the most obscure film that Michael Keaton has appeared in a starring role in my opinion, and I'll talk to you all about that tomorrow. Thanks for watching.
This one morning I get up and I keep thinking, what'll I do if I can't play hockey anymore? Not only what'll I do, I mean, who will I be? You know what I came up with? Zilch. Zero. Because all I am is hockey. That's pretty fucking scary, man.
Last ball.
See, I'm constitutionally unable to relieve myself in front of a woman, alright? If you give me just a little time alone, we'll go grab a burger and we'll call it even.